Ever get that shiver down your spine when someone says, I curse you?
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like chills, right?
Yeah.
We're diving deep into curses and all that supernatural stuff today.
Okay.
And we're using this episode from True Scary Story. A listener suggested it. It's a good one.
I'm intrigued. Curses, man. They just get under your skin, even if you don't believe in them.
Right. It's like your brain knows it's probably nonsense.
Right.
But there's still this part of you that's like,
Totally.
ooh, what if?
Yeah, yeah.
So this episode, it's called I Curse You, a family's paranormal nightmare.
Oh, just the title.
Right.
Already I'm hooked.
Gets you in the mood.
It does. That use of you, even though we're just listening,
Yeah.
it makes it personal. Like, is someone out to get me now?
Yes. Like, you're next, listener.
Exactly.
So the story goes, our storyteller, we'll call him John, his dad had to fire someone.
Okay.
And you might think, okay, business as usual, right? But this worker, he was described as unusual.
Oh, unusual. Okay, now my mind is already going to some weird places.
Exactly. And the story doesn't say how they were unusual.
Ooh, even better.
So you're already listening to True Scary Story.
Yeah.
You're kind of on edge.
You're primed.
You're primed.
Yes.
And then, bam, this fired worker curses John's entire family.
Oh, no.
And again, with the vagueness, they don't tell you the exact words.
Oh, interesting.
It's not like, an old woman with a gnarled cane shook her fist and said,
I lay upon you a plague of locusts.
right. It's just this ominous, undefined curse.
Because what we don't know is always scarier.
Always. Our brains, they hate that blank space.
Yeah.
So they start filling it in.
Totally. Our brains are like, hold on, let me just create a monster to put in that void.
Exactly. So we've got the scene set, right? And then, sure enough, bad things start happening to this family. And it's not just one thing. It's like this domino effect of awful luck.
Oh, man.
And the story, it makes you wonder, are these tragedies because of the curse? Or just a string of awful coincidences?
That's the question, isn't it? And that's where the whole psychology of curses really gets me. We are wired to look for patterns, even if there aren't any.
Right. Like our brains just want to connect the dots.
Yes. Confirmation bias. We see what we want to see. So you believe you're cursed. Every little thing that goes wrong, it's like, aha, proof.
The universe is out to get you.
Exactly. And the way this story is told, enough detail to paint the picture, but then it leaves all these gaps. It makes you fill in the blanks. You're practically writing the curse yourself with your fear.
Oh, they've set the table for spookiness. And just when you think it can't get any creepier, they bring out the paranormal activity.
Dun, 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 dun.
Because it's not just bad luck anymore. It's doors slamming, whispers.
Yeah.
Classic haunted house stuff.
So we go from, this is a really sad story, to, hold on, is something else going on here?
Yes. And they don't come right out and say, this is because of the curse.
Right, right.
But it's heavily implied.
Just lurking beneath the surface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So are these just people grieving, and their minds are messing with them?
Right.
Or is there something more? Something sinister?
And that's the beauty of it, right? That's what makes these stories stick with you. It makes you confront your own beliefs about what's possible. And, this whole thing really highlights how much we crave control.
Okay, I'll give you that. It really got me thinking about my own life listening to this episode, but break that down for me a bit. What do you mean craving control?
Well, think about it. When we hear about a curse, even if we don't consciously believe in it, it introduces this possibility that our lives, our destinies, aren't fully in our hands.
Like suddenly we're not the masters of our own fate.
Exactly. It's like this external force, maybe even a malevolent one, is calling the shots.
Talk about unsettling. I mean, we humans, we like to feel like we're in the driver's seat.
We're hardwired for it, which is probably why the idea of a curse is so universally feared across time and cultures, right?
Yeah. It's true. And it's not just about what might happen to us either. Remember how the curse was on John's entire family?
Good point. Even though it was his dad who'd supposedly wronged this worker.
Exactly. There's that whole added layer of inherited consequences. Like, are we also carrying the weight of our ancestors' mistakes? Like some kind of family karma?
It taps into that primal fear that our actions have ripple effects. That we're not just responsible for ourselves, but for generations to come.
So even if we try to be logical, and dismiss the curse as hogwash, it still plays on these anxieties we have about fate, about the butterfly effect.
Our choices matter, right? That's what we're taught. But this story, it makes you wonder if sometimes...
Sometimes it's out of our control.
Exactly. And what's scarier than that, it's like, remember that feeling you get when you're walking alone at night and you hear a twig snap?
Oh, yeah. Your heart skips a beat.
You don't necessarily believe someone's there, but...
Your body's like, just in case.
Exactly. That's our primal instincts kicking in. So how much of what we experience as supernatural is really just our minds trying to impose order on chaos?
Like trying to connect the dots.
Yeah.
Even if they aren't really there to be connected.
Right. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines. And that brings us back to that idea we talked about earlier, confirmation bias.
Oh, right. Seeing what we expect to see or what we want to see.
Especially when it comes to things we already kind of believe. So if you're convinced you're cursed...
Every little thing that goes wrong.
Every flat tire, every spilled coffee, it's like, see, proof.
The curse is real.
Exactly. And that's where these narratives, these stories, they can be dangerous.
Dangerous how?
Because they can trap us in a cycle of fear and self-fulfilling prophecies. We start expecting bad things, so we're more likely to notice them, to interpret events in a negative light.
So the curse becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's terrifying in itself.
Isn't it?
You know, it makes you wonder, if you were John, wouldn't you want to, like, find out more about this unusual worker?
You're right. And that's actually the biggest mystery the episode leaves us with, isn't it?
It is. They never say if the family actually tried to find out anything about this person.
No. Did they have a history? Was there something truly, like, supernaturally gifted about them? We don't know.
So was this person, like, actually cursed? Or were they just, you know, a normal person who got caught up in this whole thing?
Right. And that brings up a very interesting question. What if the family's belief, their fear, is what gave the curse its power?
Whoa. Okay, so you're saying, like, the curse wasn't real in some, like, magical sense.
Maybe, maybe not.
But because they were so terrified, because they were expecting disaster, they willed it into being.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but with this added layer of, you know, spooky seasoning. Think about the placebo effect, or how stress can actually make you physically sick.
Right, like your mind can have a real impact on your body.
Exactly. So if our thoughts and feelings can do that, why not take it a step further?
So are you saying that, like, our thoughts can impact reality?
Well, it makes you think. If negative beliefs can manifest as bad luck, as a curse, then maybe positive ones.
Could be a blessing.
Right. Maybe we have more power than we realize.
Wow. Okay, so much to unpack here. We've explored this creepy story, we've talked about psychology, we've even touched on the whole idea of whether curses are real or not.
And what have we learned?
That the world is a strange and mysterious place.
I like that.
Right. We may never have all the answers, but it's these stories, these questions that make us think. They push us to understand ourselves and the universe a little bit better.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And hey, maybe by facing our fears, by exploring these shadowy parts of ourselves, we can break free from those curses, real or imagined.
Now there's a thought to leave you with.
Right. And on that note, we want to hear from you, listeners.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced something that seemed, you know, supernaturally unexplainable? Something that just made you go, what was that?
Ooh, yes. Tell us everything.
Head over to our socials, let us know your thoughts, and until next time, keep exploring.